good afternoon. We're here with Kaylee Gumner from Second Harvest. My name's Chad Lanners from Cross Services. I am the executive director, and we're excited to jumpstart our chatting with Chad today. And so, Kaylee, welcome, and I'm excited to connect with you and have a great conversation about kind of what's going on over at Second Harvest, and maybe take a look at some of the things happening out in the legislature right now. Maybe if you could just start by sharing a little bit of your role as the public affairs advocacy manager at Second Harvest, and really what drew you to this work.
Thanks, Chad. Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about our partnership and talk about what we get to do together day to day. So, like you said, I'm Kaylee. I'm the Public Affairs Advocacy Manager here at Second Harvest Heartland. I've been here about a year and a half, and I'm the first one to hold this position. And the idea of this is really to get at some of the root causes of hunger through different avenues, including policy and advocacy work. So I get to talk to people who are excited and ready and interested in our hunger relief system.
Today I was actually working out on in our food shelf and helping stock some shelves and interacting with some of the customers coming through. And one of the ladies that I was speaking with kind of shared, with the tough economic challenges out there and the rising food costs, it's hard to really make ends meet. And she's so thankful for the opportunity to come here and shop at Cross. What are you hearing from families out there during this time of need and as we move into the middle of summer?
We are also hearing about the economic difficulties of rising grocery prices. And grocery prices are rising and wages aren't. The cost of living is raising and people's wages aren't keeping up, and other costs are going up. And there isn't necessarily the same money as there was during some of our COVID support and things like that. So when those supports dropped off in 22, we saw a huge increase and a consistent increase in food shelf usage. So one thing that we consistently see is that food is usually the first thing to go in a family's budget because it is the most fungible, right? You can start cutting back on your healthier foods to buy cheaper, still filling foods that aren't necessarily as healthy, but they're going to give you enough money to keep your rent and your lights on because those things aren't going to change. You can show up to a food shelf or you can get an appointment at a food shelf and you're immediately going to get some financial relief in the form of supplemental food for your family. Whereas if you apply for housing benefits, utility benefits, things like that, that's going to have some processing time and come down the line. So what I'm hearing is that this is really the the relief point, the pressure release valve for so many families' budgets right now, and it's helping them do other things like stay in their home, like buy their kids textbooks, like, keep the lights on, which are really foundational to keep their families healthy and well.
Yeah, I think those are some great insights that, when a family's navigating food insecurity or just, maybe working two or three jobs. There's so many things that have to come together and be right to really change somebody's lives. And so summer to me is so critical in the sense of time for people to come to volunteer and make a donation related to maybe, food or dollars to support the infrastructure in an organization such as Cross Services.
I think that, one thing, that's really true about summer is that, for example, if your kids go to a public school for the other, 9 or so months of the year, all of a sudden you are out of childcare, there's not a lot of, super accessible free summer camps and such. So you got to come up with childcare. And so supporting in, places like Cross during this time, we see increased financial pressure on families over the summer and less access to the food that they usually get in the places they're used to going, like school or like, aftercare programs and things like that. So it's really a great and critical time to get involved. And summer also, we know there's wonderful, wonderful produce in the state of Minnesota. And it's about connecting the dots. It's about getting people to that produce and getting the produce to that people. And Cross is that place where the rubber really meets the road.
We are extremely thankful for a lot of our community partners, local businesses and churches, service clubs who all do these community gardens and bring in their fresh produce. It's a eye opener to many of the families as they walk in and get maybe the sense of relief of fresh and
Mhm.
healthy, culturally appropriate food. When you look across the state of Minnesota, and we're thankful for what did happen down at the legislation this last year, in dollars coming out to support food insecurity across the state. But there has been some recent cuts, and one of them, has been related to the SNAP program. Can you talk a little bit about what your understanding is going on, maybe in the government related to the food shelves, and what some of these dollars and that maybe are disappearing, and how that affects the hunger relief and our opportunity to really get out and impact as many families as we possibly can?
Sure can. So, foundationally, I would start with our Make Hunger History initiative and some of the information we found on who's facing food insecurity and hunger in Minnesota. Right now, 1 in 5 families in Minnesota is food insecure. We're going to try and cut that hunger in half by the year 2030. So, we did see similar numbers to what we saw last year. Um, there is a base level of food shelf funding that is 4.7 million, and we saw a one-time increase of $5 million, bringing that Minnesota Food Shelf program to 9.7 million for the year, which is awesome, and we're so grateful. We also saw $5 million one time for food banks and Indigenous food sovereignty program. The problem is now we're going to be seeing produce at market rate. Having to pay at market rate rather than excess rate will put a financial strain on food banks and food shelves. And we're going to do everything we can to remain good partners to our consistent agricultural partners that we have, those farmers. It's just going to make the math a little bit harder.
Maybe you can just take a minute and describe to our viewers what SNAP is. What does it mean?
So, SNAP is technically the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So, first and foremost, it wasn't really meant to be your whole grocery budget. It was meant to supplement you when, something happens and you need a little bit of help at the grocery store. SNAP is great because it is an EBT card. You can pay for your groceries with it. You can check the account online. So it's very similar to some of the online banking and things we already use. You're allotted a certain amount per month, depending on your qualifications, whether that's income, number of people in your household. Again, the care center can talk you through exactly what those numbers are because they're the technical experts. There's lots of benefits to SNAP. One, you're going to get better access to, healthy foods, right? In the summer, right now, we have a program called Market Bucks. Market Bucks is one matching dollar from the state and one matching dollar from the federal government for every SNAP dollar. So that turns one SNAP dollar at the farmer's market into $3 at the farmer's market. I can't overemphasize the importance of SNAP in our hunger relief system. And right now, we're seeing major attacks on SNAP and on Medicaid. For every meal a food bank provides, SNAP provides nine. So if we see, for example, a 30% cut to SNAP, we're going to see much more than a 30% increase in need at the food shelf and food bank level. And we really need to go at this from all angles.
Fabulous. I just want to share when you talk about SNAP on a weekly basis. We actually are connected here at Cross Services with Brian from Hennepin County, who actually is a resource right in our facility and can help you navigate a SNAP application right here at Cross. I'm wondering if you could maybe speak a little bit about the importance of local food shelves and meeting community needs.
Local food shelves like Cross are where the rubber meets the road. Very plain and simple. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where people are actually getting the food they need and the services they need. So, how can we help address some of those other supports, which will hopefully take a little pressure off the food shelf and help people get back on their feet and help them get back into our Minnesotan economy in a way that feels very stable and good for them? So, we have a lot of collaboration that we have opportunities for. I think we often think of providing as a one direction, right? It goes from Cross, it goes out into the community. But you know what? Cross also provides a space for the community to come together to feel like a community, whether that's because they're coming to the food shelf to feel like they're part of a community that cares about them, to give them fresh produce, to make sure they've got food for their kiddos, or it's your group of volunteers. I think we often talk about the giving going one way, but there's giving that goes out to the volunteers and the donors and the stakeholders who also receive something by being a part of their community and being a part of Cross. So I just want to give a shout out to, this kind of giving really goes both ways.
What would you say to someone who's looking for help but really has no idea where to start?
If you're looking for help, starting is the hardest part because there's a lot of information out there. And, the emotional side of it can be really intense. Most everyone has either helped each other or had help from someone else or both at some point in their lives. And the whole reason that the food shelf is here, that the caseworkers are here, that the support is here is because people believe you deserve a healthy, well, and stable life. They're here for you and they want to be doing this work. So I would say come on in, whether it's to Cross or calling the care center from Second Harvest to find out what makes sense in your area, and dependent on your needs.
On behalf of Cross Services, I want to thank Kaylee Gumbiner of Second Harvest. She is our affairs advocacy manager. And you've just finished chatting with Chad, and we're so appreciative of your time. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you all. I so appreciate the opportunity.